Hello, welcome. Almost done here. All right. Hopefully you can still hear me and it's not too bad. There we go. Not too bad. Welcome. Welcome to the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? Whew. We'll play a little bit of Star Citizen here before we get started, but we're going to be talking a little bit about Star Citizen. Kind of the pre-show for the Captain's Table. We're going to be talking about, specifically with the Captain's Table. I'm trying to find something real quick. There we go. We're going to talk about, of all things, we're going to be talking about agent smithing. Now, what is agent smithing? It's a complicated thing because it was an idea from early Star Citizen, very early Star Citizen. It is a Matrix reference, but it's actually not a Matrix reference directly. So it's a Matrix reference because of how CIG wanted to make the wanted to reduce friction in the game. One of the biggest questions that people had was, if you're going to make this big universe of 100 different systems, and I want to play with my friends, but we're on two sides of the universe, would there be a way for us to be able to link up and play together without having to travel sometimes multiple hours to get to a location? I'm still set up for streaming together. What? Oh, okay, I'll change it. Thought I changed it. I think I was just focused on YouTube too much.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never,
Hold on.
ever take away my space game.
There we go.
The Janitor just resubscribed for 63 months. Shempasta made me do this.
I like how it's Janitor. 6 months of support. Thank you so much, Darj. Thank you much for Shemp for that 3 months of that 6 month support. You're both very important puppers, very impressed specialists, random pedestrians. This is your fault. There's some trick night. Trust and cheers and chat. Y'all trust and cheers. All right. The Darth Janitor returns. Maybe it's going to be here now. All right. I'm going to go buy a crate, load some of this stuff into a crate, and send it over to Pyro Station.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can
Never.
ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
Gonzo209X just resubscribed for 82 months. I have been a sub for so long I lost my walker.
Thank you so much for that 82 months of support there, Gonzo. You're a very important pupper, very impressive preserving pedestrian. This is your fault. You're the right drink. Good night. Shots and cheers in chat. Yo, shots and cheers. I think a lot of it will come down to how much players are willing to let go of the immersion/realism factor to accept the gamifying of things. I'm just a viewer, so I shall enjoy the show. It's a good point. I think the question about talking about that is when Radar Ranger said, "Hey, I want to do a show about agent smithing." My response was yes, and that sounds like a good idea, but I think the way it's a good idea is in the same way.
Welcome to the Astro vehicle retrieval system. Vehicle selected. Stand by. Your vehicle has been delivered.
In the same way that tier 0, or not tier 0, but like generally the idea of item recovery is a good idea, and insurance is a good idea. The idea is that it's all about removing friction. Hey, Omega. And for those of you who don't know what friction is a term I've heard in the past, and I use it myself because I like the context of it, which is it's a term that's basically meant to say, hey, oh, they do not have. They do. Okay, good. I'm gonna get a 2SU storage box. It's probably enough. The idea is of making so that the systems themselves do not cause issues. Removing as much jank, clunk, things that are happen for the sake of happening. A good example of removing friction is if you play a game like Helldivers. Removing friction is the idea that they could make you control your Hellpod descent the entire way down. They could give you control over where your drops will happen specifically. They could do a lot of like individual armor pieces for you instead of just an overall armor. Simplify that to make sure that the focus is more on the gameplay.
Inner Hype just resubscribed for 97 months. The miscellaneous Star Lancer MAX, a ship with a soul, where cargo's the story, and dreams make it whole.
Thank you so much for that. 97 months of support there, Inner Hype. Inner Hype, damn. You are a very important public, very impressive piece of any pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat. You are shots and cheers.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit! Pyro!
Away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Pyrophoric just resubscribed for 48 months.
Thank you so much for the 48 months of support there, Pyro. You're very important, Pupper. Very impressive, Mr. Very pedestrian. This is your father. Return drinking night. Shots and cheers. Check out shots and cheers. Do you still have those components in my inventory? Yes, I do, Klepter. Why, do you want them? I haven't left the station, so.
Dem biddies.
It's pop time.
Give them biddies there, Drugger. Got that train going. Fuck. No, they got duplicated. I made out with 3 big stealth shields, 2 power plants, 2 coolers, and 1 shy shield as well. Damn, okay. Yeah, see, I still got these as well. I'm gonna keep one of them. I'll pull those out manually because they're all just like point in having those individually. Okay. All this here because it's always good to have a diaper suit. So. Spaceship.
Take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
Never.
ever take away my space game.
Not what I meant to do, but I will take it.
Dig Dug just resubscribed for 39 months. Let's hear it for the diaper suit.
Let's hear it for the diaper suit. Thanks so much for that 89 months or 39 months of support there, diaper. 89 Dig Dug. You're very important, Pupper. Very impressive, preserving pedestrian. This is your father. Return drinking night. Shots and cheers to chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Oh, 07 diaper suit. You've served us well. I'm gonna keep that diaper suit. I'm gonna make sure I always have a diaper suit somewhere in my inventory as like a piece of historical memorabilia, you know. I can put this in the bag. I don't think I can. Yeah. Wicklow is a great addition to the game. Yeah. I need to start organizing my stuff a little bit better. Wicklow Ultra. It's the best Banu beer in the universe. So the sad news is Chad McKinney is no longer working for CIG. But I understand. Chad was part of the LA team, so... Does Star Citizen have the equivalent of a Robin Ale equivalent? I think it's like Gion beverages or some kind of similar. What did Chad McKinney do? What I'm using right now, this system right here, the cargo elevator and the new like instance hangars. He's the one who's behind a lot of the instance hangars and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he was the one who wrote the whole paper on the cargo grid system. So, sad to see him go. I understand, though, because plenty of people don't want to leave their hometown. He's from LA, so makes sense that he'd be like, yeah, I'm not leaving LA. So he got a job working for Blizzard. Yeah, I thought when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. So it implied that he's probably like working on a team, like high-level manager or something like that on a team for it. So I was like, yeah, that's good. And then everyone was like, it's Blizzard, Paul. It's an awful place to go. And I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, fuck. That does kind of suck. He'd there for 9 years, so it makes sense. Like I said, LA team. I'm sure a lot of people from LA have moved on to other endeavors. Having talked with Chad McKinney personally multiple times, I would say that Chad McKinney was very happy working with CIG. He was very interested in seeing what was going on at CIG. And very liked his time. He was not like a low-level manager either. He was one of the higher-level people at CIG in LA. As far as I know, she still is. Got everything here, so. Yeah, I don't know if Sherry is... As far as I know, all of the writing team is still working for CIG, except for the latest writer, who was let go, and I think it was because of that, Jeremy. No, there was never going to be another LA CitizenCon. When I talked with CIG developers, like the community teams and stuff like that, they're like, we're never coming back to LA. They had an awful experience in LA, and they never wanted to do another LA CitizenCon. Yeah, I mean, I still see her posting every so often online, like on her social medias. So, and she seems like she's okay. Yeah, she could be work from home. Her job is effectively work from home anyways. The thing that drives me crazy, and this is one of those things that CIG has done, which I think is just like kind of hints at some of the problems that CIG has, is that for those of you who may not be in the know, I've said there's only 2 jobs I'd ever do for CIG if CIG was hiring. Writer and community, not community, but called content creator liaison. So like somebody who works with content creators for a company, because that's kind of what I like doing anyways. So, and they had an opening for that position about last year, and so I applied for it. I used my own experiences organizing content creators, finding new content creators, and the fact that I'm already connected to a lot of people in the industry and have been working in this job for a long time. I was like, I'm very qualified and I know more about what you need out of this sphere than anybody else. Unless you've got another content creator who was like me, who had that experience. And I talked with a couple other people who also applied, who were also content creators. I'm like, hey, if any of us got this job, this would be great. And then I talked with people at CIG and they said, oh yeah, no, we asked for that position as well. And they just said, yeah, sorry, we're looking for a CIG LA. We're looking for somebody who's specifically working in LA, because the listing was for LA. And so we're only looking for somebody who's specifically in LA. And I'm like, what? That's the dumbest fucking thing you can imagine. Because I think in CIG's mind, LA is where all the influencers are. When, as somebody who's in the influencer space, they don't fucking live in LA. Like most influencers who would be interacting with in terms of content creation are all over the world. Like the places they're concentrated are in places like Austin is a good place because it's relatively cheap compared to other places. But smaller cities, small to mid-sized cities around which have good tech sectors are generally where it is. And because this wasn't just talking to me, it was me and other content creators who were talking with a member of CIG staff who was talking about it, because they said they themselves were applying for it. They said, no, you'd have to move all the way back to LA. And then when I was told that CIG LA was shutting down at the end of last year, when I was like, yeah, CIG LA is gone, I was like, didn't they just have this position open like 6 months ago? Like, what the fuck, CIG? What the fuck? What are you doing? Dodge that bullet. Yo, I fucking did. Billy D moved to Georgia? Yeah, no, there's a lot of places that people just don't live in. LA is an awful place to live. I grew up in Northern California and would occasionally go down to LA for events and other things. And every time I went down to LA, I hated it. It is an awful, awful experience to live there. The only people who like LA are people who were born and raised in LA because it's like home, but it's like Stockholm syndrome. That place sucks. The traffic sucks. The people are mostly okay, but man, does the culture suck. Stockholm syndrome? Yes, exactly. LA is where influencers go to try to begin and they then fail. A lot of influencers will do really well and content creators will do really well and then move to LA because they think that's where all the movers and shakers are. So they want to go beyond that. But like, they quickly either leave or do other things, you know? California is good and bad. The problem about California comes down to, I've found, this is me growing up in California, that people in California are nice enough, but holy shit, are they very, they don't give a fuck. Like in the most quiet fuck you way kind of thing. Like, it's none of my business what you're doing, but I'm going to judge you quietly for it. And depending on where you are in California, that it's just a different levels of that. Well, like in the South, for instance, there's different levels of people will be very earnest and very like kind, and then half of them are going to talk shit behind your back. And then in places like, you know, the Northeast, people are nice, but they're going to talk shit to you. It's just shit talking is going to happen, and you have to learn how to have a thick skin, because you're going to live on top of each other in many of the big cities, and so you're going to get in people's business, and everyone's going to have an opinion on you. Yeah, they're very fake. California is like that, but they're more plastic. And it really depends. Like Central Valley isn't so bad, but it's still, they're the center of the universe. Tech bros, oh my God. Growing up in the Silicon Valley area, you don't know the vapidity of a tech bro when they start talking. Like, they speak in code, and even when you know the code, most of the code is bullshit. So, like, I would never, ever move to LA in my life. You would have to pay me so much money that I wouldn't actually be living in LA. I'd be living in the hills. Yeah, exactly. Don't confuse being polite with being nice. Jumps are so nice. I grew up in OC, but I hate going up to into LA. OC's a little bit better, but it's just that's just LA, but with the suburbs. How did we completed them mostly? We just got rolled at the very last minute. The issue right now is fucking desync, man. Desync is awful. It's getting unplayably bad. A hot fix, yeah, but I don't know if that's going to fix the desync, or if it's just because it was supposed to be fixing the instability. Like the reason, to give you an example of the area, the reason why I lived in Austin is because when I lived in California, even with my wife, we said the nice thing about California and living in those areas is kind of and cities is that there's always something to do. There's always something going on. But the people suck. And the reason when we lived in Tennessee, it was super cheap to live, and it was beautiful, and it was nice, but there was nothing to do. So we wanted a place that was somewhat nice, but still had a bunch of stuff to do. And that's why I moved to Austin, because it's sort of like, you still got that kind of southern feel without the southern fucking. The other problem about the South, holy fuck, especially the more east you go, it's, if you are not a member of a specific family that has been there for 17 generations, you're a peasant. You're not working in shit. You might get lucky and manage to make a good business out of something, but like that's if you're really lucky. And all the cards are stacked against you. It is so old boys network. It's insane.
Thank you, and please visit again.
I think Paul would want to live in a city like St. Paul, Minneapolis. We've talked about that idea of moving up there. The only problem is snow. Snow is great. It is until it comes down so much that you can't like leave your house, or you have to pay for like heating bills out the wazoo. Yeah. Well, the heat doesn't block me in my house, physically preventing me from leaving. No, it doesn't. I can walk out in 100 plus degree Fahrenheit weather and get in a car and drive places. I still have AC. That's what Shovel's for. It builds character. I'd rather stop building character. I am old enough to have character. It's an Eskimo. He definitely plugs me in. Okay. Once you're an adult, you get a snowblower. Well, see, that's the joke, is that Cam and I are going to move up north when our kids are born so that we can force our kids to clear the snow. Right, properly. Paul has enough character, yeah. Well, it's because Darge lives in a place where there's a lot of snow. Cam and I have also joked about moving to Maine because Cam's a writer. It's like, well, you're a writer. You can move to Maine now. That's the requirement, right? Yeah, she is a horror writer. I heard about the heated driveways, and I thought I could make a go of that. Then I heard it doesn't work that way. Move to Castle Rock, yeah. So I got stuck in an ice storm in my semi-truck. Oh, man. One thing that no one realizes is that I lived in the Appalachia in Tennessee for a while, and Appalachia is like, it's the mountains, but it's really not really the mountains. It's sort of like big hills and sort of things. And it's nice weather. It's sort of the South still, and it's got its perks. And then you realize, no, it's actually one of the most weirdest fucking places in the world in terms of its weather, simply because its weather is very crazy. It's one of the few places in the world where it can be sunny and perfect, and then at one moment, and then within a span of about 15 minutes, the wind picks up so much and the snow starts dumping so hard that it's nearly Arctic conditions. Like in some places, it gets worse in the higher reaches of the Appalachians than places in the Arctic. It is so incredibly schizophrenic in terms of its weather. Yeah, but that's the thing, is that when I lived in Appalachia, it was ice. It didn't snow so much, but ice storms all the time. Every winter there was an ice storm. And it's so surreal to be in an ice storm. So imagine like wind, hail, rain and snow mix, and then it ends up where you're freezing. You go from like 70 degrees Fahrenheit to like -5 degrees Fahrenheit in 15 minutes, 20 minutes. They do research studies. Like I think NASA, I know there's multiple scientific research stations on parts of the Appalachians, which have these sorts of extreme weather swings that they study routinely, and they have to like do severe, like you have to prepare severely for it as if it was the Arctic because of how crazy it can be just out of nowhere. When the ice pilots are going sideways, yeah. You're being hit by icicles going at 20 miles an hour. It's a different life experience. I live in northern BC. I understand this all too well. Yeah. I remember my first ice storm. I walked outside and it had rained. So it was an ice storm in the sense that where it started raining, it was fucking buckets. It was a thunderstorm, and then it went from being 70 degrees thunderstorm to over the course of 3 hours dropping down below freezing. And it looked like a scene out of a movie. Everything had ice on it. The trees had droplets that were frozen mid-drop. They weren't icicles, they were droplets that were frozen. The everything that had any bit of condensation on it was now ice. It was as if Mr. Freeze showed up and just hit everything with an ice ray. It was it's such a beautiful and weird experience. It looked like something out of a horror movie. What I mean is, like, it looked like it had something, like some sort of surrealist movie rather than being, a sort of grounded movie. Thunder snow is an interesting, yeah. I was trying to describe it to my mom after I'd seen it, because I was in college at the time, and my mom was like, "Honey, I've been through an ice storm. I know what you're talking about." And I was like, "No, you don't understand. It's crazy." But back to the topic at hand. What? Yeah, I remember the back-to-back ice storms that hit the Texas. Yeah, my mom's from East Texas, so yeah, she experienced it. Like snowstorms are easy. Snowstorms, snow melts. You know, it's like it accumulates and it's a little bit of powder here and there. It's like okay, it's just slushy ice or just slushy water. That's all it is. Like, you know, a little cold water. Ice storms is it's a biblical experience. Snow can be shoveled, yeah. You're looking at. Come on.
This is a reminder that patients and guests are not allowed in the staff lounge. Thank you.
Why should healthcare be a hassle? Recently ranked 5th in patient wait times. Choose convenience. Choose KeltoRx.
Deal with the coating of ice on the walk, on the rail, on the steps, on the freaking door handle. Yeah, that was the weird part, is where everything you touched was ice. So trying to walk, you would slip every single time. But back to the topic at hand about like removing friction. It's an interesting topic because I think agent smithing is a good example of how. Stay here. Let's go do some. Oh yeah, that's what's going. I wanted to make sure I could spawn back here. Removing a lot of the friction in the game, I think, is an interesting topic because I know, as someone else pointed out, it's all about immersion. Like, do you having things like agent smithing or things like repurchasing your armor as a set, things like being able to ship your component, like being able to have a ship that's fully customized and kitted out and sending it to a location without you flying it. Where NPCs can cover a lot of your needs. So like not just NPC and like NPCs on your ships, but you need to get recovered. You can call for an NPC recovery. You need to get picked up. You can call for an NPC pickup. Those sorts of things. I think those things are a little bit more controversial. Lucky you, I can't even get past the loading screens. Sorry about that, Papa John. One of the things I discovered is try to do the try to use just store something down here. Just eat my box. Box. Not in a good way. Trying to get a character, character edit, and then try again. Are you not even getting into the main screen, Papa John? But going back to that topic, I think it's an interesting topic to talk about because the question, I think, at its core is, should players have access to these things, even if not all players would want to have access to those things. For instance, like an NPC pickup, like your ship gets blown up, manage to escape from whatever was happening, or your ship gets damaged, you run out of fuel. Can you call for an NPC to come pick you up or to fix your ship or to refuel your ship? Is that a bad thing? Because now that player no longer has to rely on any other players. They can just call for NPCs. Players who want to be refuelers and repairers and that kind of stuff might complain, hey, this is removing our gameplay. Even though it would also speed up, because CIG could just spawn in those things. You give it a couple minutes so that it's sort of a timer for it to come down rather than being a direct thing that shows up. Like a thing that has to be physicalized and you go from point A to point B. They could just sort of fake it if they wanted to make it easier for people to get access to it. You get infinite load after clicking join the PU. Try a different location. Like what I've discovered is that the Asian servers, which is what I'm on right now, are pretty good in general with that. The player offers better prices. Well, the player has to be present is the issue. I'm sorry, but the only way the game is right now and how player base is, you can't trust the players 90% of the time, so the NPCs are the only way to get around that. I understand that, but the question is, what happens? Because you're not going to get NPCs to do those things until after they fix the way that the game is right now anyways. NPCs are not the main focus of, like, NPC services are not the main focus of Star Citizen right now. The idea is that we're removing friction in the way that I've discussed about is more about removing friction in the long term, the 1.0 sort of level of Star Citizen. And so the question becomes, is 1.0 Star Citizen, will players accept that other players will be able to just effectively bypass player interactions? Yeah, the launcher states it's degraded. I think it's an interesting discussion because I think it brings out two types of people. The people who are like, listen, I am only here because I want an absolute slogfest of an experience. I want a realistic, immersive game. And the people who are like, I'm just here to play. And now it all showed up. Just go out for it to. me do some quick organizing here, chat. So apologize if we're just going to be talking and organizing. Montage. That's a bit of a loaded question with me. I mean, that's the thing. Is like, I'm sort of in the middle with a lot of this stuff. For instance, I understand that at the core, Star Citizen isn't trying to be some super hardcore game for the sake of being hardcore. Its main focus is trying to be more can't see what's those. I'm naked. Now. Go. Now I can set everything up properly. Case. All right, so with this, I'm going to try to remove all of the guns from this. And I'm going to put the guns in this container over here. Go. Heading to bed. Have a good night there, X. Thanks for hanging out. Talked about after 1.0 development, but it still seems so watered down. What do you mean? Where can you find last Thursday show? It should be up there. I'm still trying to figure out why it got removed the way it did. It shouldn't have been, but Mercenaries would be better long-term development since it's taken half a generation. So, and that's the question. Like, there's plenty of people who are like, "Hey, I'm here to play a video game, and it's clear that CIG can't get this immersive experience done. So let's just make a fun video game." And I'm sort of in between because I think that there are some elements of Star Citizen that would be, if watered down too much, would end up kind of breaking the experience. You still need some of those aspects in order to enjoy what's going on. But I also think that it's still a video game. There needs to be some things. Like, will it really matter if somebody can call in a repair ship that's an NPC to the average player who is looking for immersion? No. I think the key is that NPC interactions are going to be the main way that most players will engage with the game. And that should be the case. Got that good. To do this again. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like things like the rep system need to be in place. So things like agent smithing, which is the kind of the impetus for this idea. I don't think agent smithing is a bad idea. However, there needs to be some limitations, some downsides. There's always should be some sort of consequence for going the NPC route. It should be convenient, but not the most convenient. And I think that's where I will stand more on the side of immersion, is like, yeah, you could call for assistance and someone will show up to help you. But depending on what your reputation and where you are, it's going to take you a long time. And the idea being it's going to take you 20 minutes to get picked up or to get fixed by an NPC, where a player could be closer, and if they're closer by, you can get that better. Also to like, not punish players so much, but as so much as try to encourage players. You have to kind of give them the pain in order for them to recognize, oh, I probably shouldn't do said stupid thing I just did. But you say that now, and everyone loses their goddamn minds because they're like, but this bug personally kicked my face in and called me a slur. Like, yes, I know that. Bugs are bad. But we're not talking about bugs in this case. We're talking about something that's down the line. We're talking about something that has to happen in the distant, or not distant future, probably the near future. So. The bugs are bad. They are indeed bad, but you cannot how to put this? You cannot balance a game on the bugs that happen right now if you're building a game out. Because that's kind of like saying, oh well, the game is bad right now, so the game has this game-breaking bug, so we're just going to we're going to make the game around this game-breaking bug, rather than making the game we want to make and then fixing this game-breaking bug. You have to, at the end of the day, deal with those bugs and see as you will. But when you're talking about ideas like making a player wait 20 minutes to get fixed, the first thing I'm going to hear people saying in the comments, and it's going to happen, and in the chat, is I would quit the game. I'm not going to sit here because the bug. I experienced a bug where my ship decided to do a somersault and backflip into a penguin, and then explode into a million pico balls. And then I have to wait 20 minutes to get it fixed. That's unplayable. Can't play it. It's like shutting down conversation before you actually understand what's going on, which is always the frustrating part. I'm gonna this. Not. I'll pull out all of the undersuits because I don't think I need all of these undersuits. Some of these guns from here. Now I'll pull out some of these weapons, put them in my backpack so I have access to them. I sworn I had. There it is. And out. Let's go. science square. I think that's it. This is going to be my base of operations for now, so I'm just going to send this down. God, this game is so weird sometimes. I can see a possibility of having a system similar to the bag system of Rust, where you can select multiple friendly beds as a spawn location if you're in your party, etc. Your friends for your friends to ship and spawn in it. Well, I think the thing that makes the Agent Smith system work is the idea that CIG has had for some time now, which is basically that they're going to do a stats system, a system where you have basic stats which can be increased if you do work on any of those given stats. I think I missed what's the bad? It's in the title, Shrimp Pasta. Refresh the stream if you don't see the title update. But it's going to be about agent smithing and the whole removing friction in the game. Set this up, and then I'm going to go see if I can't get some rep. Yes, you have to read. Let's go get some ammo because I have no ammo. But I do believe I'll set up. No, it's pretty far away, but I'm excited for base building. That's not too far away, actually. Based off of CIG's own current designs, it's at most a year away. No coda, the shame. I like the coda, but the coda doesn't really work well with my current setup. If I had the the P8 as my main, then I'd probably use the coda. With regen, they could go the route of characters respawning spawn on ships with medical respawns if your friend wants to join the larger ship, etc. So your imprint is transferred and your new body goes there. I could see that happening, but I also see that as being them trying to weasel in a in-fiction reason as to why this works. And I don't think you're going to... I don't think an in-fiction reason matters, really, long-term. Like, it doesn't matter why this happens because it's always going to be jarring. I don't see a single way of them making it not jarring, that you're basically instant transmitting yourself and all of your stuff, or at least yourself, to on the other side of the universe. You know, like that just doesn't work. It breaks a lot of the rules of general storytelling and immersion and stuff like that. It's like, you know, I get it. I understand why you want to explain things. Just make it so that you're taking over the NPCs. The players are just taking over NPCs on the ship. You're good. You're done. It's like there's no more like convoluted reason other than they're just taking over NPCs. You're now controlling the NPCs. You don't have a choice of who those NPCs are or their stats or what they're equipped with. That's up to the person who is technically hiring those NPCs. But you can take those over. And by doing so, you can have fun and have some and get around, go around the universe with your friends. But you're not going to get paid for it or other benefits that you would normally get from playing the game. Yeah, super direct control.
Hi, welcome.
Your Audi hates the Hurstons. What? I haven't seen Severus, no.
Good purchase. Hi, thanks for coming in. Hi, let me know if there's anything I can help you with. Hi, let me know if there's anything I can help you with.
Like the undersuit matches the patterns on the backpack and everything. It's good. Drop this off and do one mission real quick. It's nothing to do with combat, but you know. Go. Go. Where'd you find all your information on the band? You own a roleplay as someone who worked his way out of its services. So there is a entire language guide called the Rust Society Guide to the Banu's Protectorate. You can Google it. It's 360 pages long. A lot of it is grammar and like language stuff, but a lot of it is also just cultural stuff that you can pick up on. That's probably the best source. The other sources would be the various articles. There's articles about them throughout the jump points. There's Galactopedia stuff, that kind of thing. I plan on watching a lot of stuff from Apple TV Plus. I just don't have Apple TV Plus, so. And I know. You don't have to have Apple TV Plus to watch it, but I just prefer to do that. How it presented to you is joining a friend in game in verse that's just happens to allow an NPC on their ship. Some sort of pseudo meta wink. I could see that. Like they wouldn't have to have a NPC necessarily or a player generating. You could just like when you log in, you could have a situation where you could choose to log in as, you know, the Star Citizen equivalent of a scav in Tarkov, which is the actual NPCs are called scavs, the ones that you can run around. A lot of them are go fight. And so you could do effectively a scav run where you start with nothing, and you can choose where you spawn as a scav or as a citizen or as a civilian rather than a citizen. There we go. That's the system. The civilian versus citizen system. I mean, obviously citizenship is more important, but you or a spacer, you know, or whatever. Just some name for random person. You can come up with random person, and the idea is you spawn as a random person in a system where you just get a randomized set of gear, randomized clothing, and then it's up to your friend who's with you to make sure you have all the equipment you need to go out and do stuff. So that way you can log in at a place that's closer to where your friend is and then play with them, but you won't have all of those progression that you would normally have. You'd have to still meet up with your friend to transfer all that gear and such. But still, I think that's a good solution to the problem, because since 1.0, you're not going to have NPCs. There's not going to be NPCs you can hire for 1.0. And honestly, I think that would work a little bit better, because it would also solve a solution that players have been asking for a long time, which is so many people want a true zero to hero experience. They want to start off with literally nothing and doing jobs in order to make their way up in the world from having literally no ship, nothing to go by, and then work your way up from that to doing well. You could probably have that sort of scav experience. With that many people fall through planets, I'm wondering if a lot of the server issues are coming from the balls of physics corpses at the center of the worlds. They clean those corpses up pretty quickly. Oh.
Welcome to the ASOP vehicle retrieval system.
This to me feels a lot more like I'm gonna. Oh, this is a medium.
Please visit us.
I've literally not fallen through a planet in a year plus, but also clear shader cache every few weeks, few sessions. Yeah, I actually just recently cleared my shader cache, and maybe that's why I'm getting slightly better performance.
The ASOP vehicle retrieval system. Welcome to the ASOP vehicle retrieval system. Vehicle selected. Stand by. Vehicle selected. Stand by.
Yeah, it's in the launcher. You can set it to like clear cache, clear controls, clear everything.
Your vehicle has been delivered. Please visit us again.
I've been saying that for a long time when it comes to zero to hero runs. Sell an account for $5, start in prison, own nothing. If you die, you make it really long respawn timer, like a week. I mean, you don't even have to do that. I think CIG could easily just do a situation where you have an account, and if you want to play that zero to hero experience, you just can choose to have that experience, to just do that as one of the options of, kind of an intentional hardcore mode. Because that solves that problem that I was just talking about the of agent smithing, because it allows for players to spawn in at a location where they know they're closer to their friends, and then have their friends pick them up, and they can go on adventures with their friends with their little zero their character. And if they at the end of the session, it's the character deletes, it's gone. But if you want to, you can continue playing that character forever. I think that's really the case. Is there needs to be, the biggest thing about friction is that there needs to be options for players to bypass any sort of requirement of playing with another player for minor things: repair, refuel, rescue. And of course, the further you get away from systems like in Pyro, fuck you, that's not an option, But in Stanton, there's an option there. So that still allows for that sort of experience to happen in those more rural areas, the more contested regions of the galaxy. But you can still have players, do that. I think there needs to be a balance between, I need to be able to jump in and play the game right away and have no barriers to entry, and I need to experience the pain of what, as much of a simulation as possible. I make too many GTA references, but the thing that that game is that, aside from the single player story entirely, the online with no connectivity is basically an RPG with 4-person connection. It's a co-op RPG. But with the higher player count, it still counts as an MMO. Use it as a template, as a zero to hero type thing. The building character stats, the buying of vehicles and properties, etc. I suppose the question is, how do people expect their friendship list to be? How big is an org do they want to be in? I still want an outpost art with like a ground vehicle or something. I mean, if you did the whole like scav type experience, you could probably set up a list of many different things that are either randomized, or CIG could choose where you spawn, either randomized in terms of like character, or maybe even some templates you could use, and then where you spawn with what you have. So that, oh, I want to spawn as a spacer. So someone who has a spacesuit, maybe has a pistol, and maybe has a tractor or like utility tool, but that's it. And they spawn, you'll find them you can spawn them in various specific locations where spacers can spawn. You have a one who's like a pioneer, who's living on an outpost and has a vehicle and has like a rifle, and that's it. And a spacesuit, and that's it. Or that sort of thing. What if there was an option to lock away your armor, money, and ships, so you want to do the zero to hero thing? You can just choose to start with nothing. That's what I'm just saying, Token. Is the idea of, I think CIG's kind of goal of kind of hybriding everything, of instead of just making a system that is bespoke, to make a system that has multiple functions, so it makes a little bit more sense for them to do it. Doing a system where you have a zero to hero option, and that option is also the Agent Smith option, allows for players them to kill two birds with one stone. A player wants to play with their friend, but they're on the other side. Like, they're in Castra and you're in Stanton. And that is several, like an hour or two travel to get there and set up and everything like that. So instead, you can just spit up a character that's a throwaway character that has, some basic stats set up. You spawn them in Castra, your friend, you can go meet your friends up with that character, and then at the end of the session, you can just delete the character, so it's gone. Or if you wanted to, you could continue to play that character as a separate account, or not a separate account, but a separate character slot in your game. You could use the loadout archetypes they introduced at CitizenCon. Exactly. Let's see what missions we get started. Problem with this. By the way, the Pyro station, you can't leave. It doesn't recognize your call, so you have to go in and do the old school call method for them to let you out. I've only discovered that it's a bug recently. They've mentioned a couple times of having multiple character slots recently, like since CitizenCon. They've mentioned multiple character slots, which would bring it in line with most MMOs. And so the idea of having a character slot that is dedicated to sort of a generic NPC experience could do pretty well.
Distress bacon.
Oh, is Darj, if you want to come on, I can let you on. Oh, Adam. I didn't see that you had requested. So has tier 0 item recovery completely annihilated the game, or were the actions a little bit overblown?
You can take
Hold on.
away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
Never.
ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
Mystician just resubscribed for 4 months.
Thank you so much there, Mr. Shin, for that Twitch Prime sub for 4 months. You're a very important pub, a very impressive, of any pedestrian. This is before the Russian drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. They mentioned something about having more character slots. Oh, someone actually mentioned. I heard something about multiple starters, but would save money having that compared to an alt account. Though I doubt you could gift money between slots. Yeah, I think you probably could, but you'd still have to have a penalty. There'd have to be some sort of transfer fee. So tier 0 item recovery completely annihilated game, or reactions a little overblown. I mean, yeah, in general, the reactions were overblown, but like, I think a lot of people were putting words into my mouth when I said, like, I was concerned about it, because there's definitely some consequences for it, and there's also some problems. Like, I've already experienced this with CZs, where we had one person who we were fighting against in a CZ. There were like 6 of us, but they just basically We killed them, and then they got back up with all of their gear and weapons, and then went right back into the CZ and continued to come in and fight. Meaning they could just throw themselves and face smash their way back into us until they got into a situation where they had an advantage and then destroy us. Yeah. The issues that most people had with Tier 0 were, one, how it would affect PvP in terms of how people would play. And two, long-term, is Tier 0, how long is Tier 0 going to be around? Is this just going to be the thing that happens? How is it going to set expectations for the future? And how does it set up for like Tier 1? Yeah, basically. It makes it harder to actually complete a CZ because it's just constant. People can just come in and just like, I'm just going to, for fun, just shoot you. And then come back immediately afterwards and shoot you again. It becomes attrition-based rather than skill-based. Uh, 30 minutes, Darsh. There's definitely a lot of doom and gloom, for sure. And I think a lot of people were over exaggerating the problems that were going to happen. But it was funny to see the reactions, because half of the reactions were nobody cares about this but content creators, and half of the reactions were this is going to destroy the game. But this wasn't from other content creators. It was from regular ass commentators I was seeing on YouTube comments and Twitch comments and like Discord and Spectrum. It was like, I would say, again, based off of what I've seen, 60% of people either didn't give a shit or liked the idea, and about 40% were concerned with the extremes doing the extreme things. All you have to do is give your subscriber bot stuff back on a cooldown. Yeah, but it's already, like, the ship has sailed, y'all. If Tier 0 is in the game, CIG may remove it, but typically it would take them at least a month to do so. And Darj is right. We're going to need to see it in action over the course of the next few months to really gauge actually its impact on the game. Or is that Dell who said that? Yeah, Dell said it. Yeah. We just need to see what it's like and how long it's there. If this is oh no, it's gone by June. No harm, no foul. I think most people will be okay with that. But if it's we're gonna get this until April 2026, I think more people would have issues with that. Oh, both go down. No, I agree. I think that's one of the things that I've noticed more significantly than anything else, is that people are they're enjoying themselves with gear that they want to wear. There's no more gear fear whatsoever. People aren't like wearing random shit they picked up. They're wearing stuff that matches their personality. Bunker missions have become almost zero risk. Get a Cuddy Red, fill up with armor, and then do bunkers. You die, you repeat outside, bunker, fill up an ammo, fill ammo, come in. That was the case before, though. Like, that hasn't changed. That is something that has been the case for a while. The only difference now is that they've reduced the friction, so you no longer have to like buy a bunch of armor sets. Except for the fact I know a few that lost their sub gear because they took them off to drink in the game, didn't replace the item. Yeah, that's definitely that's still a problem. That's more of a small problem to a solution to the problem. I think my impression is still the same from the very beginning, is that I don't see how this changes the gameplay that much. I understand why people are concerned about it, and I get like the concern myself. Especially, I even have some issues with Tier 0 or Tier 1 implementation. I'm going to die in the Tier 0 sucks hill. I got it. I understand. But I am also of the general experience that it's not going to change my gameplay experience all that much, good or bad, so I don't have a dog in the fight. Is it neat that I have, I can like wear stuff and not lose it? Sure. But I don't wear sub gear. Like this is effectively what I've worn forever in terms of the main body, the backpack, the arms and the legs. It's, you know, various different degrees of helmets and undersuits. I need to get a good helmet that kind of matches this set. I haven't found yet. But the only difference, the only change would be my the only change would be if I could, instead of having the medium set or the heavy set, I'd have a medium set that comes with the space jackers, the 890 jump hijackers. I love that they're medium chest piece. That's fucking amazing. I love it. I want some more of it. That would probably be my more regular set, and this would be more of my this set here would be more of my going into CZs and doing combat sort of set. It just adds some friction while moving friction elsewhere. Whether it's net positive is not clear to me yet. Well, I know some people don't like the idea that CIG is doing it simply because it's removing noise. CIG has also been like it's been clear to me that people have been asking for stuff like this for a while. It's not just oh well, we're just doing sub gear stuff. It's more than just sub gear. So I get it. CIG's trying to meet the demands of people in the year that it's all about trying to improve the experience of playing the game. This is my favorite ship right now, and I'm trying to find good trade routes between the two systems. There's not much. I think most of the good routes are located specifically in Pyro rather than between Pyro and Stanton. Stanton has actually been deprioritized a lot in terms of what it can. It's sort of sad, honestly. I would have thought that the most common trade you'd experience in a place like Pyro would be they lack the resources they need for basic life, like food and water, and so whereas Stanton, it would be cheap to get like food. I also realized that Tier 0 helps them sell more equipment and weapons to Pledge Store, and I'm totally fine with that. That's better than the transition faster away from ship sales. Yeah, but I also think a lot of people will be mad about that because they see that as exclusively why CIG did it, and rather than seeing the context around why CIG did it is more than just we're going to be able to sell so many fucking starter pack or, armor packs. Armor and weapon packs. I'm not stupid to think that doesn't play into the fact, but I know enough about how CIG thinks to know that no decision is made off of a single point. There's usually multiple reasons why they do something, because they want to be efficient with what they do, which is the reason why this is not just a system for getting your gear back. It's a system for gear insurance. Isn't there a 30 USD armor, gun, and pack with the patch release? It's armor, gun, and ship skin. But it's a Corsair. So the Corsair ship skin is usually, I want to say, about $15. So the pack is about average of just if you took a ship skin and you threw an armor pack and a gun pack together, kind of what it is. But that's assuming that statement assumes that CIG is it only did this so they could sell that $30 pack. They did all of this Tier 0 just because they're like, we're gonna make $30 off of this ship skin pack. Because it's gonna be so good that people are gonna want to buy this ship skin. Dead horse already, but I think Tier 0 to 2 are garbage ideas as stated, and I hope they change it. I'm also fucking tired, y'all. I'm just glad that CIG is making decisions and going forward. Instead of being like, well, we might do this or that, they're like, no, we're doing this and we're moving forward. Even if it's a bad idea, at least it's fucking an idea. At least it's something they're doing, rather than just trying to please everybody at all times. There are going to be things that I don't like in the game that CIG is going to add that I'm just going to have to deal with. Because games aren't made for everybody. Despite what CIG themselves have said. I'm just gonna... Rather they do a thing and correct it later than fiddle around for a year and pondering what to do. Yeah. There it is. I guess. I honestly feel like gear insurance is the problem. I don't think it's that much of an issue. I think it's all in the balancing. Because the idea of gear insurance means you still have consequences for your death. You die, you lose your shit, you have to pay for it to get it back. You're still buying it back. And if you get insurance on it, you still have to pay insurance on that gear. You're still paying for it in some way. And insurance is a gamble that you are going to lose it more than you're not. And so you may end up spending more on the insurance than how many times you use it because you just may not die as much. People are so used to dying or having to lose their stuff so often now, mostly because of bugs. When bugs aren't a huge problem, I rarely die in game because I don't usually play that sort of loop. But even then, most of the people I know who do a lot of combat, PvE, and PvP, PvP tends to die more often, but not nearly as often as I think people think. Once you start playing the game and getting good at it, getting over the hump of learning how to play the game, a lot of death drops off dramatically in how often it happens. Maybe insurance is just a price reduction for rebuying instead of giving it back to you, or well, should be. Well, it just depends on the insurance. I mean, like CIG, even in the description, doesn't even really call it insurance. They just say you have to repurchase it, but it's a quick repurchase. You repurchase it, and then you can quickly reset everything. So it'll work off the same insurance system where you kind of register your loadout as a loadout, and then it'll come back to you, but you have to buy it back. So it may use the same system as insurance, only you still have to pay for it. I'm expecting recovery to be a balanced by crafting updates. Yeah, that's the other thing, is crafting. If FPS gear never comes back better than tier 0, tier 1, whatever store-bought standard is, it would be, I guess it would be fine. Yeah. Elevators have been my biggest killer, and elevators are a bug. Like, it's not the final game. That's not the gameplay. Death isn't as instantaneous, and I think as CIG goes forward, they're going to do their best to make death the least favorable option in any situation. It's removing friction. They want you to play the game, but they want you to play the game that they're making, not the game that exists currently. And they still want you to play the game that exists currently, but they don't want you to play the game now as if it's the final game. I feel the same way. I'm an industry player, so I don't tend to die very much unless it's a bug. I don't mind tier 0. I haven't really set up to use expected pipe, etc. At the most, it sort of means that the off chance that I might fuck up something and screw up and get killed, it's like, okay, cool. I didn't lose anything except time. Yeah, but you don't need to loot your body anymore because you have all the stuff still. Body markers work now, and there's almost no point. Really, I think what Tier 0 represents, and this is along that same conversation about removing friction, is that it represents CIG moving in a direction away from, wouldn't it be neat? Imagine, and more to, these are the systems we have in place. These are the systems we're going to put in place. Let's make sure that all of the things we make are within these systems' parameters. Which is why Beam Citizen is here to stay and is never leaving. And people need to get used to the idea that Beam Citizen is what the Star Citizen is going to be. Does that mean they'll never update it beyond 1.0? Of course they're going to do some other cool things because they're video game designers. Name me a video game designer that hasn't like significantly overhauled a game mechanic in a post-release update in the last 15 years in modern gaming. Onto ship insurance, it should be a hassle to maintain a handful of ships at tier 2 cost-wise. Yeah. I also think it should be weekly, not monthly. So like a weekly insurance of 10K, otherwise you default. And the scale of your ships should also increase. If you have a massive ship, that should be a lot more expensive to insure than a Aurora. FromSoft? Does FromSoft not change any bit of their like game's functionality with patch releases or DLC? Like, you know, changing how guns, the effectiveness of guns or swords or armor. FromSoft has made the same game for 20 years. That's unfair. They've made 2 games for the last 20 years. They tweak it, damage, weapon and damage, and do it based off of their own rubric, not people bitching. That's what I'm not saying that. Name a game studio that hasn't caved into their player base. What I was saying was name a game studio that hasn't said this doesn't work. We're going to change this after they've already released a game. It is the nature of any craft, especially technical crafts, that designers will attempt to improve upon what they've worked on. And the longer a game's lifespan is, the more it will change from its initial implementation. I just watched an interview with Larian Studios that said if you try to make a game for everyone, you're shooting yourself in the foot and fail. Yeah, I agree. Which is one of the reasons when I heard CIG say, we're making a game for everyone, I was just like, that's a fucking mistake. No pew-pews.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
Chaos Vice just resubscribed for 17 months. Kids are in bed, so let's dance laughing face.
Thank you, Chaos, for that 17 months of support. You're very important, Pepper. Very impressive. Very pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Sweaty games last. I think that's also a misnomer. I don't think it's sweaty games. It's games with identity. Space Marine 2, while it's not popular on Twitch, will probably still get updates and still be played even when Space Marine 3 is released. Because that's the studio I think Saber Interactive that built Space Marine 2. That's what they did with their last game. That's how they produce games. They're really, really passionate game developers and how they work. They went from being a pure shovelware studio to being some pretty respected devs in their field. How to get that view from gun? With this? I don't think you can aim down sights anymore, but yeah. I think that people don't understand the value of snub ships. Because right now, based off of how the game functions right now, yeah, I get it. Like, oh, a snub ship is just a death coffin. It's just a one-way trip to dead. But when engineering is out, when you have components, when component matters more than HP pool, those ships are hard to hit now. Because they're fast, they're maneuverable, and yeah, they don't do a lot of damage, but they're annoying. When you have things like proper signatures in because of engineering, and you have Maelstrom in terms of like, instead of it doing HP pools, it's about destroying the components. Trying to hit a gnat, trying to shoot the wings off of a gnat is going to be a very difficult proposition. And it will lead to calculus of conflict, which is, do I spend my time trying to shoot this gnat, or do I spend my time hitting this bigger ship that is more of a threat to me? But knowing that if I don't pay attention to this gnat, it may actually end up killing me because, you know, Merlin is a very expensive decoy. I think it can be deadly ship. Under the right hands with the right pilot, with the right coordination, it can be very good. People will have to stop flying it like it's a fucking Hornet. Because it's not a Hornet. It's a flying turret. Turrets don't kill ships, but the volume from a turret will. They're saying that a painting is never finished because artists see imperfections and doubts and such. Imagine, though, if the Mona Lisa having layers caked onto her. Yeah, I get it. I also don't understand why people like the Mona Lisa so much, but... I mean, you could probably fit a lot more than what's required or what's stated in almost any ship, because CIG's standards or metrics are more around the idea of, can you fit this in a ship and still use its functionality and get around comfortably with NPCs walking around it. And players do not have that same struggles. They don't need the wide berths of regions to be able to navigate an area. Yeah, no, me and X fundamentally disagree, and I know X says, well, the experts that I've talked to, the military experts, I said, they don't like it. And it's like, yeah, because the military experts don't see what it is, because they're looking at it from the perspective of a modern military necessity. And modern military is not the same as a video game. There's only so much you can pull from a modern military perspective compared to a game's perspective. Oh no, it's very overpowered. The TAC is absolutely one of the most crazy ships that CIG is putting in the game. Because it's a Carrack that doesn't suck. It's a Carrack for non-explorers. You somehow found a glitch to make yourself run out of gas? That seems like an inconvenient glitch. Done. I don't have any red in here, which is kind of a problem. It's not that bad. I wish you could get the, you could find the redshift chest. I think the redshift chest would make this a little bit better. The redshift backpack. How much do I want for this helmet? This helmet? The Oni helmet? No, fuck you. It's mine. I found it fair and square. I probably stole it off of a dead body fair and square. With the Oni helmets, I think they only come in red. What are they called? Neoni. Oh, they come in white too. If you give me the, you can find me the skull helmet, the cow skull helmet. I will trade you the cow skull helmet for the Oni. Seriously though, having a cargo, large vehicle bay, snub hangar, tier 2 medical beds, drop seats, actually drop down, and firepower, TAC will absolutely be #1 daily driver when it comes out. It is the thing that I've talked about more as a ship designed for the League expeditions than any other ship. It is almost perfect, purpose built for a League expedition. Combat Carrack, yeah. Cow skulls are easy. 890 missions have tons of them. Well, there you go. The Butcher without lights.
Welcome to the ASOP vehicle retrieval system. Your vehicle has been replaced with a
gonna have to do one of those 890 jump missions just so I can swap out. I get my daily driver gear instead of this thick ass chest piece. Getting the medium chest piece that they have. Only found one of the Onis last patch. I want a Perseus more though. I mean, yeah, the Perseus, but the TAC is like I said, the TAC it works pretty well with like a Perseus or a an Ironclad Assault. Like those are great combinations because while the TAC doesn't have a ton of vehicle space, the Ironclad Assault does. So you can use the TAC as a sort of a drop boat and support gunship, and then the assault comes in to deliver like the heavier ships and bring people out and that kind of thing. I haven't done the 4 point yet. Is there an actual event running, or is it just the open sandbox activity? It's just the open sandbox activity, as far as I know. I don't see any priority missions. Service beacons, maintenance. Mercenary. There's collection missions, which also includes the Rayari missions. I'm gonna have to do some of this. We might do. I might see if I can't get the league to do some of the Wicklow missions, just to do the Wicklow missions. All right, chat. We're gonna move on to the captain's table. We're gonna get started here in a few minutes. I'm gonna go use the restroom. When I come back, I'll call up the crew and everything and get started. But both of those, the CAS and the assault and the carrier, both of those are civilian ships. They're not military ships. They're designed for militia. I notice with the Golem, you get much impossible rocks. What do you mean, much impossible? Until after the weekend, it's probably a better idea, Daedalus, because they've got some major instability that they're looking at to try to fix. It's probably going to be a couple weeks before they get it fully fixed up. So, yeah, CAS, close air support. I get that. But I was saying, like, neither of these ships are military. They're both militia ships. When you scan the laser, it's not strong for the rock. You're not so yeah. It won't be able to crack some rocks because it's a bespoke size 1 head. The other problem with Wick is we need Hathor items. Otherwise, it would be fun. Are the missions go to get Hathor stuff? Several of his trades require Hathor stuff. Shut this down. Be right back, chat. Need gems from the laser hole. The Hathor system stuff needs to fucking work in order for it to be a thing. All right, chat. Be right back. Thank you, chat. We're just doing some setups and make sure everything's good to go. Those of you on YouTube, I'm going to set this up properly so that when we start the stream for the Captain's Table, it should dump you automatically into the Captain's Table podcast. So set that up real quick. It's been working recently automatically. So it requires me to do a ritual, you know, like one of those. Well, it's like I have to hit something, turning it on. I have to turn it off. I have to, you know, it's a song and dance. So yeah, exactly.